Hey guys, I'm here to get into one of my all-time favorite Richard Linklater films, Everybody Wants Him, which he released in the year 2016. And this is seriously a perfectly made film in every way. It's shocking how perfect it is because this kind of perfectly captures just the state of literally just kids going to college for the first time. And it's just kind of that weekend that they don't realize in the moment, but when time passes, they're never going to forget this time because this is whenever a bunch of people are getting together and meeting. And there's that kind of cold hearted atmosphere that comes when you first kind of walk into a college dorm room like that. But then when you get to kind of know who everyone is, a lot of people kind of seem like that toxic kind of energy. But then you get closer and it's like, all right, most of them are kind of cool. They're just very young and naive ultimately. Seems like most of them will probably grow up to be pretty cool people ultimately. So there's just a significant amount of entertainment value. And the purpose continues the feeling and spirit that I believe both Days Confused and Boyhood said. Days Confused, that certainly is the spiritual sequel of because it kind of continues that hangout foundation, while it kind of has a little bit more of that nostalgic tone to Boyhood, where it's just almost overwhelmingly realistic in how it captures just, um, just lovable guys just hanging out and being entirely in the moment. Like, and just about 20 lovable characters, and the dialogue here is just perfect as it gets, entertaining, just always colorful, and ultimately a pretty positive feeling. Although it's just a very complete-hearted kind of film that celebrates youth and humanity very well, while also kind of just taunting at some toxic masculinity, but they're ultimately like young and naive traits. But it's like guys who, in time, probably grow up along the way. Like this, so careful characters who just kind of come in and out. But yeah, this is one of those films you wouldn't expect it to like add up as well as it does because when you hear the title, it seems like to me one of those annoying kind of American Pie-ass movies. But I assure you, this is not remotely like that. This is entirely like just a hangout from the status of like Quentin Tarantino-esque quality writing. Honestly, it's the same. Richard Linklater is every bit the talent of that man. I feel like because the writing is just his characters are always entertaining. And again, it's set in the early '80s, but somehow it feels like perfectly fine for like the 2010 setting. Also, like it feels like it would add up, and it feels like it's really reminiscent of a lot of the hangout culture I've been immersed into. But yeah, it's just a very life affirming film. It's always fun and yeah, hard to say like everyone will feel the same, but I feel like it's I mean well everyone kind of feels the same way I do, honestly. So I really recommend this film to most people. So I think it's just get past like the oh boy, it's just a bunch of chads walking around. It's not really like that, like it seems. Like it's literally just guys who are just good hearted, and it literally it's just as entertaining as like just Days Confused. It's just a day in a life, just kind of youth energy, but told in a completely mature lens, like because it's almost like looking at it like it's a time capsule. Like they're gonna hold on to this and feel something, most likely. Or we're watching this is just to put you into that place. Honestly, Richard Linklater, again, he's just a frighteningly great director because this film really doesn't get old whatsoever. And this is one of the ultimate go-to films when you're just wanting something to make you feel happy. I think this is truly a happy feeling film. Days Confused is pretty happy too, but this is maybe even more so for me. I think yeah, this is really a genius one. Just capturing something that's not dramatic. Like, again, there's some coldness in the beginning, but it kind of loosens up as they just are in the moment. But there's no serious drama going on in this film. It really is just a hangout film in the truest essence, and that's who I recommend it to the most. People who are interested in hanging out, feeling the hangout vibes of. Like obviously, once upon a time in Hollywood has this kind of feeling too. If you love that film, I think this is a similar kind of place where it's just refreshingly feel good. And Richard Linklater just has a very floaty outlook on life, and it feels like just the C characters just kind of hovering around, just getting themselves into situations and kind of showing some naivete, but kind of just some youth and growing up in the process and just having a good time. Like it's quite perfect. Yeah, making capturing a masterpiece of. Again, I think Rich Linklater just gets more and more humane because he's just kind of, I think, looking at the world of masculinity and how maybe a lot of that toxic energy comes because there's just a lot of unspoken insecurity that lives in a lot of men. And it's like a lot of men don't know how insecure they are until they kind of get out and live some in a certain kind of way. But I mean, yeah, this really like is about the best film to come out in 2016. This is just a refreshingly light take on just how like a lot of that toxic masculinity can be there, but ultimately a lot of these guys just are knowingly insecure. It's like it's almost nice to have some other bros that kind of call each other out, sometimes. Like, and it certainly adds up in a lot of ways of like, kind of getting to this place where it's like no one really makes any sense. I don't really know what anyone's actually after here, but all the same, I like the enthusiasm and I'm having fun, But I mean, and that's the thing. They're also like baseball players, so there's just like a lot of high testosterone running through a lot of these guys. Like they're just because they're part of something highly competitive. But this film is certainly out to portray kind of like a satire on overconfidence. I think, in about the most perfect kind of way, because those characters end up kind of building their ego up massively, only to look ridiculous at the end. But there's like a free, fun spirited kind of feeling to all that. And again, just characters just in the moment. And I love the way this ends most of all, because it kind of ends with just Jake, the main character. But I love him. He's more like an everyman, kind of pursuing all these more eccentric type of characters. But he just gets to class, and how literally he sits with one of the other goon heads the whole film. He's just like, look at the professor walks in. He's just like, what's that? And it's just like, oh my gosh. And yeah, that's a perfect kind of experience right there. Yeah, and I love this film. Like, this is one of those. It's going to be hard to sell on the surface, but I think if you just dig into what's going on, it's hard to not imagine loving this film. It's like an updated take on like stuff like that '70s show. I love this even more because this is like even more personal in the way it's told. And all the characters here just has energy. It's a good set, great sound, like early '80s kind of soundtrack, taking a lot of '70s influence. But it certainly feels like a perfect film of the 2010s all the same. Hanging out, watching this certainly kind of takes me to innocent times of hanging out with the buds, in my 20s, in a lot of ways. You can kind of see where it's like sometimes you don't know what to make because there's an unpredictable nature, but ultimately there's like an unspoken acceptance going on here that I really enjoy. I think that's really cool how everyone ultimately is pretty open, because it's just like, dude, we're all just kind of figuring it out. Some are just nicer about it than others. That's the thing about it. Some people are just going to be overwhelmingly cold because, again, a lot of testosterone energy going on in the air. But yeah, I love this film. I think if you just kind of are willing to, honestly, just if you love a hangout film, you'll love this film. I recommend this film to people who love a good hangout film. And yeah, that's everybody who wants them. Short and simple. This is just a really great time. I really recommend this. And if you love the film Days of Confused, I feel like this is slightly preferable, honestly, because it's just updated with even more of a mature kind of lens, where it's just kind of showing characters in a way that's just like, this is what it'll feel like, perhaps. But ultimately, it's all good. Kind of comes back to that kind of foundation. So yeah, that's everybody who wants some.